What's up, guys? I want to talk to you today about guilt and what you can do about it. Understanding the problem and the weight of guilt is paramount to dealing with it. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about it for just a few moments, and then we'll dive into what you really need to understand and know on how to fix this. Guilt, the reason you're here is because you have done something that you perceived was wrong. And now your emotions are tearing you up about it. It's tearing you up in your mind. It's tearing you up in your heart. You have regrets and you're like, why did I do this? Why did I act this way? And now how do I get rid of this awful, dreadful feeling? Guilt, as you already know, will cause us to do some really crazy things as human beings. It causes us to act oddly. And one of the things it drives us to do is it actually drives us and makes us stay busy. So I want to stay super busy with activities. As soon as I get off work, I want to go somewhere. As soon as I go somewhere and I think about maybe coming home where I got some downtime, like, no, I need to fill in a little more time there. Or maybe I've got an open day coming up and I'm like, man, I really don't want to think too much about my guilt. So I go ahead and make some big plans. I'm going to, refinish the whole entire porch and build a deck. And so guilt will force you to stay busy so that you don't have to deal with the things that are heavy upon you. Guilt also will cause you not to go deep with people. Like if you have just said something that you consider bad towards someone and they come up and try to talk to you, you will present them with your false self, kind of like you do with your boss. So you present this false self to them, and then maybe they say something that was kinder than you would have imagined. And maybe this person is more likable than you would have imagined, but you've already put up this false self. And so you can't really be real with them. So you have to kind of put them off and you have to kind of avoid them. It also makes you avoid intimate and warm people that want to get to know people, because you have things to hide. And if they start talking about, personal questions like, oh man, it just makes us act really super strange. Guilt will also make you super perform in certain areas. So if you're failing in 20% of your life terribly bad, then oftentimes we turn to our strengths and we start pouring crazy amounts of time in there to kind of like offset that failing. So we begin to overperform and superperform. And you can actually see this in other human beings as you look around. If you find your super high performance people, a lot of times they're trying to compensate, like for self-esteem issues. And a lot of times our self-esteem suffers because we're so guilty. We also do crazy things like we medicate with food, and we medicate with drugs, and we medicate with alcohol, and we medicate with highs. Guilt pushes us to do crazy things. Guilt can actually even make you meaner. So let's say I'm kind of mean and I do something that I regret doing, but then somebody goes to confront me about it or whatnot. I kind of get meaner to cover my tracks. I already feel bad, so I don't need you making me feel bad. So I'm going to make you feel worse so that you'll leave me alone. Kind of psychotic, but we do these things. And you'll notice that the guiltier you get, that you are becoming someone that you really don't want to become. Now, this is a fork in the road, okay? Some people actually realize that they're becoming someone they don't want to become, and so they begin to go look for ways out from underneath guilt and shame and suffering. But there's other people that convince themselves that, no, I am actually becoming who I want to be. And they begin to push off the parts of their heart or their emotions that are actually regretting things. And so they become harsher and they begin to self-deceive themselves. And they push more values down and break more values and break more barriers. And just kind of like the meaner person, they become a harder person. So which are you? You're going to become harder to deal with your guilt feelings? Or are you actually looking for a solution? Now, here's where I have to disappoint you. And I am so sorry, but there's no other way to do this. If I give you the answer right now, this isn't a sales pitch. You just have to look up the next video. Go to part 2. It's so easy. But I can't tell you right now or it'll kill the algorithm. Anytime I put the answer into a video, it gets shoved to the bottom. It gets shoved to the bottom by search engines. By the search engines, it gets pushed to the bottom by algorithms. It gets pushed to the bottom by people. But I have the answer for you, and it's in part 2.